right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS. This is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 316. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. Before we get on the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS. This is Awesome. If you want to make fun of our trophy lists on the PlayStation Network, you can find me at anchorlist_81, Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. You can write the show at psisawesome@gmail.com. Most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends. Be sure to leave comments, rate the podcast as you see fit. And as a reminder, we're a video podcast as well, so you can watch the show if you prefer on our YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe to that. For new and or long-time listeners, we have a Patreon. You can support our show at a $1 level. The Patreon tier is called the One and Only $1 Club. Head over to patreon.com/PSisAwesome. Become a $1 patron to get a free die-cut vinyl sticker in the mail and shout out on the show. With that out of the way, Jake, what's going on today, my dude?
Nothing really too crazy. We're doing a little bit of early spring cleaning. When I say we, I mean mostly Sarah, and because she had a 4-day weekend for President's Day,
Right.
and so we have this closet upstairs in our hallway that is the whole. It's like at least half the length of the house. So it's fucking huge, and it just runs down the hallway into a bedroom, and it's just where we've just shoved shit for the last 5 years. And so she's been pulling all that stuff out, and she found some framed BioShock posters. I forgot I had.
Oh, I remember you had those. Yeah.
So I hung one of them up in the room that I'm in right now. You can't see it because it's actually hanging over my computer monitor. It's a poster for the Rapture Masquerade Ball 1959 is what it says. And if you've played BioShock, you know that the New Year's 1959, 1960, something like that is when shit went down and Rapture went to shit. So it's
right.
the ad for the party or whatever that happened. It's pretty fucking cool. But other than that, doing okay. I played hockey last night, as one does, and I broke another fucking hockey stick, which is really irritating because they're super expensive. And when I say they're super expensive, I mean you can spend $400 on a hockey stick. I don't spend that much money. I buy good sticks that are on clearance, so I'll get them for $150, $200. But in the last year, I've broken 3 sticks by if you've ever been on a hockey rink before, there's the boards that go all the way around, and it's not one continuous piece. They're panels that are all screwed in, and it's a bunch of them side by side. And if they're assembled well, the gaps between the panels are almost non-existent. Well, at the rink where we play at, there are places around the boards where the gap is just big enough for a stick blade to go into.
Oh.
And so 3 times in the last year, I've been going along the boards with my stick. It's gone in between 2 sections of the boards and just fucking snapped the blade on it. Gotcha. And so it's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, that sucks. You got to be careful.
Other than that, glad the band's practicing again. Been doing pretty cool stuff. Got a new song to play live next week, so that'll be kind of cool, I think. And then probably it might need a little bit more tweaking, maybe as far as the beginning goes. But I think that it's in a pretty solid
show
place.
Ready.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm doing okay.
Nice.
How about yourself?
Yeah, we went to Troy and I. We're recording this on Monday. Troy, who plays in One Up My Land, and myself went to Pittsburgh last night to a record store that One Up My Land's going to play in April, called the Government Center. and we went and saw, for anyone who knows, Jay Robbins, his band. Jay Robbins is, let me go into his wiki real quick, because I'm not as familiar with him as, say, a lot of fans are, but he was he started as the bassist for a band called Government Issue, and they played alongside, I want to say, bands like Scream, which Dave Grohl was part of. So this guy's like rock legend. This guy's from DC. This guy also has been in Jawbox, Rollicker Laydown, Burning Airlines, Channels, and Office of Future Plans. So he was a touring bassist for Scream, actually. And there's all kinds of shit. Well, anyways, this dude has a long lineage of music shit on his career. So we went and saw his band play. He's also a very well-known recording engineer. He did stuff for bands like Clutch, recorded bands like Jester Brazil, Hey Mercedes, Shiner, a lot of like indie punk bands. The Life and Times, I'm trying to, The Promise Ring, he did stuff with them as far as in the studio stuff, Dismemberment Plan. This dude is super, super famous in that group of people who like that kind of music. So his band was in town, and he actually recorded my friend's band, Signals Midwest. Their last record, Dent, was recorded by Jay Robbins, which is crazy because the guy's just legendary. So his band came through. He played Pittsburgh. They were great. His band's not really my style of music, if I'm being completely honest, but it's just kind of a thing that you go out of respect for the dude and his career. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
let him fucking play whatever the fuck he wants to play. His band was great, but the songs weren't really, they didn't strike a chord with me, and I think they probably would if I knew the songs going into it, but I've never really been tiled into Jay Robbins, but Troy had an extra ticket, so I went with him. Not much else going on. Playing some Helldivers, but we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm trying to think if there's anything fun or interesting. I'll tell you this. This might seem a little morbid, but I by no means do I mean it to be. Why is Greendale Cemetery one of the most beautiful cemeteries I've ever been to? Have you walked around on that trail at Greendale here in Meadville?
Is that the one up on Williamson? Or which one is Greendale?
Greendale's like downtown. It's up off of Jefferson, like where Ted lives.
Oh,
that has a huge arch.
I know where you're at, but I don't know if I've ever gone through there.
Holy shit, dude! That cemetery is awesome. I was trying to get my steps in today because I'm losing weight. What's that?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of the. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily morbid. It might be a little bit weird, but there is something
peaceful. It's really peaceful.
Yeah, there's something neat about cemeteries, especially if you go into like some of these really old ones that have awesome architecture, and like we went when I was and not to hijack your story, but like I don't know if you would have known about this or not, but there was a couple of Halloweens when we were at the Plex that Andy and I went to a Halloween party at the Allegheny Cemetery in Pittsburgh, which is fucking huge and super old. And like we just would walk around the grounds like at night, but because it was obviously a Halloween party, it was nighttime. And just these huge mausoleums and like really cool architecture. Like I could definitely see it being kind of a neat thing to just walk around and kind of observe the sights.
Yeah, and by no means is it morbid. It's only morbid if you want it to be. But like Greendale has a trail that spits off the back end of the ridge, and you go down in, and there's like a running freshwater and a creek, and like it's a long ass trail. So I was trying to get my steps in today. I had the day off because of President's Day, and doing well with the weight loss. I think I'm down 10 now total, a little more than 10, like 10.3 or something pounds. So shedding the weight. I'll be running in no time. But I went down there, and man, it's such a nice cemetery. It's It's really big. It's like it was like the perfect day for it because it was still sunny out. So the sun was out, blue skies, the snow was melting, and the trail was not very hard to get around in, and it wasn't very slick or anything. So I went and took a little mini hike today, which was really fun, which I don't usually do enough of, and I should do that more often, to be honest. But that's a really cool cemetery. There were some really interesting headstones, like big like monuments. Like I'm not a Catholic person, but I'm guessing it was Mother Teresa or somebody, but like huge, lifelike, just like reaching up to the sky like this or something. And like I was like, God,
yeah,
fucking wild. Another one of let me see. I have it on my. I took a couple pictures because they were just so gnarly. Because they're cool. It's cool to see this shit. This one was, maybe Mother Teresa looked down, but this one looks like an angel. It's fucking dope. It's like an angel putting their like some sort of. It almost looks like a lei that you would get if you went to Hawaii, but like draping it over a cross that's stuck in a stone, and it was enormous, and it was somebody's like headstone. It's fucking rad looking. There's a lot of good old art, like artwork, stone carvings and stuff from in cemeteries. But I know when we went to Salem, Massachusetts on tour, they had one of the oldest graveyards in America, and it's called the Burying Point. And you go there, and the tombstones are like yay thick, like they're just slate pretty much, but. Yeah, really fucking rad because they're all crooked and like they're, you know what I mean? It's just like shit, you know. They're like, don't even go. You can't even walk here anymore. Like you can look, but don't walk on the ground.
Well, some of those graves are probably 400 years old.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. It really is cool. I love that shit. But anyways, like I said, not to be more, but my buddy Rick, who plays drums in a band called Post Ramon. I almost said Post Malone. Post Ramon. Is always posting pictures of his graveyard walks. And, man, I think it's a thing that people do. It is. I think it's really relaxing. But especially when you don't live close to trails and stuff, just find a graveyard. Just fucking walk around on the paths if you're looking to get some steps in. But that out of the way, we did have... Hold on one second. I'm trying to get the end of this thing ready here. Hold on one second, listeners. We'll just go. All right, very good. We didn't do show notes, and we're going to try something different today. We're going to just kind of spitball some news stories, talk about what we're playing, talk about some news that we know existed, but I didn't have time to get the notes together. Jake didn't. Jake's just coming out of work. I guess maybe I did have time because I was out walking around, but to be quite honest, I didn't feel like doing the show notes, and I wanted to try something different. So Jake's agreeable to it, so we're just going to figure this out. We did have one writer write in, and this is going to curtail right into games that we're playing. And Jake, I have to read this to you because it's pertinent. And it was addressed to you, which is interesting. My internet's a little slow. Hang tight, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus. All right, so it says... Nope, sorry, that's not the one. It's here. God damn it. That one was a comment on Skull and Bones looking like it was supposed to be Black Flag DLC, somebody said.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that. But this one, here we go. This is from Big Box. Big Box writes in, this is listener feedback. We're going to jump ahead and do this and then get into games that we're playing. Big Box writes in on episode 315 on YouTube, and you can write us as well that way. But he says, Jake, WTF, didn't you pick up Helldivers 2? Not what the fuck, but why the fuck didn't you pick up Helldivers 2? You don't need a mic, and there's like 9 difficulty settings, so you don't have to feel pressured to do shit for your team. Fred, talk him into it. To me, it represents why video games are such a cool medium. The amount of unscripted movie moments in game provides is awesome. Plus, it'll get supported for years now that it's such a big hit. Fred, talk some sense into him. I can't. Maybe Jake has it. Maybe he doesn't. But Helldivers is fucking great. So that was what I wanted to say as far as comments. And why don't we get into games that we're playing? Jake, I have a suspicion that you did get Helldivers too since we last talked.
So,
kind of got it.
Yes, on a technicality. My brother bought it, and since we game share with each other, I was able to download it. And I've heard nothing but great things about this game, so I wanted to check it out anyway. I mean, I was kind of on the fence about picking it up regardless, being only $40 or whatever. And I will say this. I have nothing to say about it because I went to play it like 4 times, and all 4 times I couldn't get in. So all 4 times I tried to play it, it told me the servers were full and I couldn't get in. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to go play something else. It's been a week since this game launched, and you guys haven't figured this shit out yet. Like, I'm not saying it's easy to bring more servers online, but like, I don't know. I'm not gonna get invested into a game where I've got to worry about every time I'm in the mood to play it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in. Like, that just, to me, there's no attraction. That's one of the biggest pitfalls about online games for me. It's like, it's the same shit with Destiny. It's like, I don't have to worry about, it's like, oh, I go to play Destiny and then it'll pop, but I haven't played in a while, so it pops up. It's like, you need a 65 gig update. Or like, you go to play it and it's like, oh, the servers are down for maintenance, so you can't play this game. And I know people who are like into MMOs and playing online games. This is like a way of life for them. But for me, it's like, it's like for them, it's like, going to the gas station or something. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, when I sit down to play games, usually because I don't play a lot, at least compared to what I used to, I'm like, I'm ready to play and I'm intending to do a specific thing. I want to play for like a little bit, and then I got other shit to do. So whenever I sit down, I'm like the other night, I think it was Friday night, I was like, all right, I really want to try Helldivers. I'm in the mood. And so I jump into it, and it's like giving me all these fucking server errors, or it'll say servers maxed out or whatever. And then so to make a long story short, the only thing that I've done in Helldivers is play a couple minutes of the tutorial.
Yeah.
Because I just let it kind of scroll, and it finally let me into the game when I was literally brushing my teeth to go to bed. So like I played like a little bit of the tutorial and then just kind of went to bed. And then after that, I tried 2 or 3 more times over the weekend, couldn't get in.
Right.
And it's like I'm sure if I had like left it up and sat there for a bit, I could have got in. But for me, it's like, if I could pull this game up, I can either wait 10 minutes for it to let me in, or I can jump right into another game right now and play it. Like, I'm just going to pick the other game. So I am excited to try it out and play it because it does sound like a lot of fun, but I don't know that I'm really going to be that, I'm not going to try that hard to get into it until, it's a little bit easier to get in when I want. And I don't know if that's an unreasonable way to think to you, Fred, because I know you're super into it, and I'm sure
it's worth it's worth waiting to get into it. But at the same time, the game does have some glitch stuff. There are times if I play too many consecutive missions, I just start getting major frame rate drops, and I have to turn the game off and then turn it back on. I must like refresh the cache, or there's something going on with the frame rate drops after playing it for too long. On the PS5. Now, I will say that the game is absolutely fucking fun. It's one of those games that, like, I don't know, man. They nailed the fun factor, and that's why we play games. So there is something about it that I think about when I'm not playing it, and the sounds are like perfect. Like when your guy stands into the hell pod and he's getting ready to go on the mission, just the two when it locks onto his feet, you know, and you're getting ready to drop down. Like it's just the sounds are like perfect. The volumetric fog looks amazing. The lack of a need to actually communicate with your team. I'm level 13 or 14 is nice because they have a nice waypoint system. They have a nice, like, you can call things out on the map system. I think the sound engineering of this game has been done with such taste that it's probably overlooked right now. The characters yell shit out, and it just makes them seem like they're actually people, and you know what I mean? Like, but then at the same time, like, you don't even really 100% know who you're actually fucking gaming with because they have these weird codes for the players. Like, it's like usually like the first letter of their PSN username and then like a number. So like, you know that Helldiver is like A5 or B6, you know, and you're just like, you know, if you have to say something, hey, B6, you know, grab the autocannon backpack for me or something, like, they're just a fucking number, just like the military would have you think, you know, which is kind of interesting. But back to the sound engineering and just the sound design and the way they implemented it is so fun. Like, if you are just getting close to a point of interest that's not on the map and you're the one that discovers it, your character just yells out, hey, I see something over here, and everyone can hear it. And it's like, when you're in the game playing it, it's like, of course that's what that guy would say. You know what I mean? And it's not like, you don't have to be like, hey, group, I think there's something up this way. Here, follow me, guys. Come on. It's just like the character does all the fucking talking that they need to say to keep you from needing to actually communicate verbally with your squad in the battlefield. Like, you call in a fucking turret sentry. They'll be like, calling in a turret sentry. And then, like, everybody in the map knows what's coming down. You know what I mean? Calling in a supply box. Like, it just happens. So, like, you don't have to, like, verbally communicate with your squad, which I think is genius. So not only does, like, the tags work really well, but the audio is fantastic. And it's funny to a point, too. Like, there are points where, like, you get really close to death, and if you can escape it and, like, get yourself injected for, like, a, you know, with what do they call them? A stip, I don't know, a stim pack or something. It's something like that. Yeah. You like, your guy will literally just go pop off the thing and hit himself in the neck. And, like, randomly, depends on how hairy the situation is. Sometimes he'll just be like, not today. Like, and he's running and shit, and he's like stimming himself, and he's like, not today. And then shit will happen where, like, you know, I call down this Gatling gun, and that I just found a stratagem that you can mount. You get on it, and you can just fucking start shooting. Not all the time, but once in a while, your character will just be like, yeah! He just starts fucking yelling while you're doing it. And you know it's a crazy firefight, and the other guys who are shooting too hear it. And it's so movie-like. And I think it's what Big Box is talking about. And one of the funniest ones are the jetpacks are a stratagem, and you put them on, and it's not like a Halo jetpack where, like, you can fucking just launch. Like, it works. It's serviceable to get you out of a tight bind. Maybe you can hop a fence with it, but the fuel supply depletes really fast. So you go up, and it looks badass for all but, like, 2 seconds, and then you come back down. But it's really effective when used properly. But if you're the only guy with a jetpack, or maybe you're not, but, like, sometimes when you use it, it's this fucking voice will say this once in a while, and it says it almost in, like, a bragging way, like, I've got a jetpack and you don't. It's like, to the sky. He fucking shoots up. So it's like completely, there's no enemies, and someone fucking used the jetpack, and you see the fucking smoke and shit come out, and this Helldiver just goes like, to the sky, and he launches. It's so fucking lame, but it makes it hilarious. So I think the sound design needs the props for Helldivers. The atmospheric like music and stuff is really good when you're on the planet. The sound of emptiness, if that makes sense, when you land on a planet and nothing's happening, just like the like is there, and like you hear the other Helldivers launch down like and they're dropping in and they're like throwing stratagems and getting mounted up, and then you're fucking going out as a fucking crew, and there's like volumetric fog everywhere. You just don't know what the fuck you're gonna find. It feels so good to play. The sound, I think, makes it actually. I think play this game on mute and tell me if it's as fun. I bet you the answer is fuck no. The sound is elevating this game to a degree that I think people are not paying attention to. I will say this about Helldivers. Arrowhead and Sony, nobody expected this game to do the fucking numbers it's doing. And that's saying a lot about a lot of things. It's saying that, like, number one, Sony didn't really believe in the game like they probably should have. Arrowhead was probably too modest with what they created. That also says a lot about the climate of video games right now in general. It's just like, this game, there's not a whole lot to it, but it's so fucking fun to play. It's just like, do you really need to reinvent the wheel? All these companies trying to do all this shit and add all this extra shit and do this and that and make these crazy stories. And like, Helldivers is absolutely fine as is if they knock the bugs out of it and just get it going. But so right now, it has exceeded more concurrent players than every PlayStation PC port combined. Helldivers has. Helldivers 2. And then not only that, Helldivers 2, this is the topic from Push Square, it says Helldivers 2 beats Destiny's 2 all-time Steam peak, gaining on Palworld. This game is fucking blowing up. And it's crazy because everyone who plays the game is just like, it's so good. I haven't heard anyone say the game sucks.
Well, that's kind of what's frustrating to me, is that the more I hear about it, the more I want to play it. And like, the more I hear about like the way that the game works and everything like that, the more I think like, oh man, it would be kind of cool if like what if we got a squad that was like me, you, my brother, and maybe LJ.
It'd be
we just
so
kind of
fun.
like jumped in and just played for, an hour or two, just to like kind of have, because I have to imagine that even though it's fun with randos joining your game, it's probably more fun when you're with people that you know and can talk to.
Yeah.
And so what's frustrating from my perspective is that what it tells me is that these problems are probably gonna persist, because the more it's out, the more popular it's getting, the more people are playing it, the more loads are on the servers. So like, even if Sony's adding capacity, they're probably filling it up almost immediately, because more people are getting excited about this game as it's being talked about.
People
Major streamers are playing it and all this stuff. Dude, you made that comment about the Steam concurrence. I was just looking at it. Helldivers on Saturday reached over 333,000 concurrent PC players.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so many concurrent players at one time.
Yeah.
And so man, the more I hear about this game, the more I do actively want to play it. And I just need to get back into it and like try to get in. And it's frustrating that they make you have to log into a server to play the tutorial. Because you would think that would be a good thing for it to be offline. Like, I should be able to like even if I can't get into servers or whatever, I first boot up the game before it even enables the online shit. It's like, all right, let's walk you through what the game is. Because you can't even, like, if you start the game up and you don't have access to the internet or whatever, you can't even go to your menus. You can't even, like I said, you can't do the tutorial. You have no options to do anything whatsoever. As soon as you start the game, it's like trying to get into a server. And there's not even like a start screen where you press X to continue. Like, it's literally like you're in or you're out. And that's basically it, which is, like I said, is frustrating. But this game looks really cool. And what I did play of the tutorial seemed kind of neat. You know, like the stratagem thing seems kind of cool. How you have like the button command to like call in your fucking ammo and shit. And yeah, I'm really happy for Arrowhead and Sony, and I have to imagine that if it hasn't already begun, Sony's going to be thinking about probably buying this studio, I would think. And just because like this is the second party exclusive that Sony has done with them, and this one specifically seems to be popping off. Hopefully it has legs, but I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, I know other places have talked about this and stuff too, but you can imagine them just like filling this thing with all kinds of content. You know, you could have different enemy types, like different worlds that are like fucking crazy. I'm not saying make it Fortnite crazy, but there's no reason why you couldn't have like, you know, some you know, other Sony properties kind of pop up within Helldivers as, you know, maybe skins or helmets or something like that. Or, you know, maybe you go to worlds that have, I don't know. I don't even know what you would do. Like imagine if they just went off the fucking rails and you go to a world and it's just like enemies from Ratchet and Clank or something. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they need to go, like I said, I don't want them to go like Fortnite crazy with it, but there is plenty of opportunity for them to fill this with content that would be, cause the game's already silly as shit. So like, why not, you know, pepper it with some stuff that people know, you know, just, I mean, not even within PlayStation or
like
without.
This would be an opportunity to bring Resistance characters back, like the aliens from Resistance for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not gonna make another Resistance game, why not throw? I mean, this game is basically humans fighting aliens. Why not have some fucking Chimera in there?
That would be
or
awesome.
Like, you know, some other shit. Maybe you get maybe like some of the weapons you call in are like
the
you know,
old Resistance
guns from
weapons.
Resistance.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know how they have like that. They have like the fucking like the homing weapon and all that kind of shit. Like, it would be cool for them to do some of that kind of stuff. Because you could tie that kind of shit in without making it crazy.
Still
like
make
I said,
it
you don't
thematic,
have to
right?
Yeah, you don't have to put like fucking Donkey Kong running around the map like screaming and throwing poop at you. Like, you could just have, like, let's say it looks all the same, but he's carrying like a fucking gun from Killzone or something.
Right.
And if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. Like, they could do some neat shit like that.
They could. Well, they had something to say about the concurrent players. Arrowhead indicated on the Discord. They said this was, I think, 2 days ago. Yeah, it was 2 days ago. They said, I'll just quote it here. It says, earlier tonight we had server-related issues with concurrent player spikes. This led to some mission payouts failing, some players being kicked to their ships, or being logged out. Our team is working around the clock to solve these issues. While we've been able to mitigate some of the causes, we're still struggling to keep up with the scaling that is needed to accommodate all our Helldivers. Therefore, we've had to cap our concurrent players to around 450,000 to further improve server stability. We'll continue to work with our partners to get the ceiling raised. If you have progression-related issues, please restart your game in order for things to sync back up. Thanks for your continued patience. Your dedicated team over at Arrowhead. So they have their hands full. And I'm not...
I wonder if that's why...
Go ahead.
I wonder if that's why I've been getting the servers at capacity message. Because I don't hear anyone else talking about that, but I just started trying to get into it over the last few days, and maybe this was after this update where they capped the player count, and maybe that's why I'm having trouble with it. I mean, it's better for the stability of the game. I totally get that.
Yes.
But I would like to see them increase that at some point so I could actually play it.
So this was from 2 days ago also. So they're doing a really good job keeping in touch with the community. They said, hey there, Helldivers. We have improvements rolling out this week. Focus on the most serious problems in the game. Login, matchmaking, server load. You will see one update for PC and PS5 tomorrow. This already happened, but it said, though please keep in mind that no single update is going to solve all the issues. Rather, we'll be making continuous improvements over the days and weeks to come. We're working really hard to make sure that the game is a stable place to spread managed democracy to every planet in the galaxy. Thank you as always. There's tons. If you go to like the subreddit, this is the latest, and this is from a developer. It says, this is a post from three days ago, but then there was a response. So 3 days ago, developer wrote, I am completely exhausted. So a bit of a retro of this week. I'm completely exhausted by the success. So is the team. Many, many late nights on calls, emergency meetings, discussions around server capacities, shards, capacity units, CPU utilization, login rates, and CCU. Tired, but very, very pleased. And someone wrote and said, get in touch with Microsoft, bring Helldivers 2 to Xbox, and enjoy limitless server capacity in exchange. Weird that Sony didn't come in clutch yet. And then the person responded recently. They just said, it's not a matter of money or buying more servers. It's a matter of labor. We need to optimize the back-end code. We're hitting some real limits here. So they just didn't have it ready for this kind of a reception. And they're kind of blaming themselves. Like they did the code that was written on the back end of this game was not set up to accommodate this many concurrent players, and it's fucking things up. But, this is a good problem to have, but I hope in the long run people remain understanding, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of discord, that can come from this. People kind of shitting on the studio and saying, well, these guys should have known, or fuck, man, I knew when the first Helldivers came out, they had something special. You know what I mean? That game was really good. I played the shit out of it. In fact, when LJ got his PlayStation, we did share play, and I had him play the first Helldivers because it was so fun. I was like, dude, this will be fun to do together. And it was. Yeah. It was a blast. So anyways, enough about Helldivers. I think we both, I definitely think that it's, dude, I'm telling you now, I know that it seems a little crazy, especially with Final Fantasy around the bend and Pacific, whatever it's called, Drive, and some of these other games. Like, for me, when it comes to fun, like, I haven't played a game this fun in a long time. It's fucking great. So, I mean, it takes the cake so far this year. This is a fucking pleasant surprise. So.
Hell yeah.
Jake, we don't have much other news. You said you wanted to talk about, I guess we can get into news. I guess that's what we'll call this. You want to talk about some Xbox news that's maybe related to what we do here, that's interesting.
Yeah, so we've been talking about rumors over the last couple weeks about Xbox games coming to PlayStation. And Microsoft, Xbox, whoever, they had a podcast this week that they labeled as a business update. And basically they addressed all this stuff. They addressed the next console generation, yada, yada, yada. Most of it we don't care about. But they did confirm that 4 Microsoft first-party games are coming to PlayStation. And they didn't specify which games explicitly in the business update, but it's heavily rumored that those games are going to be Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, and Grounded. And I don't know, if it's a PlayStation audience, maybe they don't necessarily know what all these games are, but Hi-Fi Rush, like I've talked about ad nauseum on the show, is this really awesome, third-person action platformer beat 'em up kind of game that's all rhythm based. Like when you're fighting enemies, like you attack them to the rhythm, and like you don't have to hit them on the rhythm, but it gives you bonuses if you do. And there's just this really, if you're into music at all, there's this just really cool music component to this game. Not to mention, like, it's got this very, like, Japanese aesthetic, and it's very kind of out there, and it's really cool. I really highly recommend it. The only other one that I've played on this list is Pentiment, which is a smaller, like, watercolor style adventure game. And when I say adventure, I mean that in the classical sense, where, like, you're basically walking around talking to people, trying to solve like a murder. Like there's this, it's just basically a lot of dialogue and choices and story, and it's a very cool game. It takes place in like the 14th century or something, so it's like a really weird time too.
Yeah.
It's a really neat game. I never finished it. I got through like the first act, but I never got all the way through the game. And then Sea of Thieves is like their live service pirate game, which is apparently pretty popular. And then the last one is Grounded, which is a game where it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where you're like, I don't know much about it, but I guess you're like small, like in the backyard, and you're fighting like giant ants and shit like that. So that sounds kind of cool too, but I don't know, being a live service game, if it's really for me. So I just wanted to bring it up because I'm not going to get into all of the back and forth and the arguing over Phil Spencer's words and what does he mean, what he doesn't mean, and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. But this, we're for sure getting 4 games. It looks like it's going to be these 4, and they've left the door open now for many more of these games to actually come over. They have stated that Starfield and Indiana Jones for now are not coming over, but that doesn't mean they won't come over in the future. So I don't know if you have really any comment, Fred, but I would highly recommend, if my thing is that if any of these games interest you, pick them up, because we want to show Xbox that it's profitable to put their games on PlayStation.
Right.
That way they'll be more inclined to bring over an Indiana Jones or bring over I'm not saying buy a game you don't want to play. Don't just buy them to buy them. But if you're interested in Hi-Fi Rush, if what I said, speaks to you, pick it up. Same thing with Pentiment or Grounded or Sea of Thieves. Because I think it would be awesome to see like Halo Master Chief Collection come over, or Gears of War. Like, these are games that have historically not been available to us as PlayStation gamers, but as a semi-agnostic gamer, these are games that I've played, and they're fucking awesome. Like, I would love to see, like, dude, specifically, Fred, I think that you would really dig, like, Gears of War.
Yeah, probably.
It's like so, but yeah, that's just kind of all I had to say about it for now. And then they had some comments too about the next console generation and hardware and stuff, but I don't know that I really have a lot to comment on there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's, someone has to take the first step, right? Like, honestly, like, someone's got to take the first step. If this is a world in which we as PlayStation gamers want, and we know Sony sure shit isn't going to just hand over games to Microsoft, so to run on their platform, especially not first-party games. So it's, someone's got to make the first move, and I think it's a good faith effort. It's a gesture of good faith by Microsoft to do this, but they're also in a tight spot, dude. Like, they clearly need to make money on their games. You know what I mean? So we know that Xbox console sales have not been nearly as good as PlayStation 5 sales this generation, but so they need to sell some of their games to more people. So this is smart on their part. Sony's letting it happen, it seems like. But I just wonder, at what point does Xbox then say, what do we get now? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think Phil Spencer did have a quote where he said something along the lines of, we would like to see Nintendo and Sony games on our platform, but we're not expecting them to do that.
Right.
Like, he made some comment like that. So, and I don't know if you saw, there was another news article from around some comments from Hiroki Totoki, which is like the interim head of PlayStation right now. and he made some comments, I guess, after the launch of Helldivers about how they're looking into more multi-platform releases with their games. And I think that he's specifically referring to like PlayStation and PC, not like putting their games necessarily on Xbox and Nintendo, unless it's like maybe like a live service game, like a Destiny, or maybe even I don't know, maybe even a Concord or a Fair Games or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I have to imagine, and to get back into like one of Phil Spencer's other comments, is that he said that over the next 5 years he expects that exclusives are going to dwindle across all console manufacturers. Now, there's probably still going to be your Nintendos who it's like, you're never fucking playing Mario anywhere else. You're never fucking playing Zelda anywhere else. You're never playing, whatever, Splatoon anywhere else. I mean, maybe Splatoon, but like, and I think Sony's going to be similar in that, like, you're never playing The Last of Us on Xbox. You're never playing fucking God of War on Xbox. You're never playing Uncharted on Xbox.
Right.
But maybe you'll play XYZ ABC new fucking franchise that Bend is working on. Maybe that'll come out on other platforms. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like I'm long over the whole idea of exclusives. Like I think at this point, like I used to get really kind of uptight about exclusives, like Sony big games, like let's say Uncharted were to go to Xbox. But I think the way that I feel about it now is, as long, and this is coming from, I guess, a semi point of privilege because we are fans of the dominant platform, let's say. But as long as Sony has the success and the incentive to give us the hardware and the ecosystem that we love, it really doesn't hurt us at all for someone with an Xbox to be able to play God of War.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sony might have a problem with it because they want to sell hardware, but as gamers, we should embrace, like, we should just, I'm just kind of, I think a lot of it is I'm just sick of the console war shit, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I would like to see, I would like to see some of these amazing Xbox games come over. And if that means that an Xbox, the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection comes out on Xbox, it's like, I don't know. That's not really a horrible trade. I mean, that collection's fucking 10 years old. So it's like, yeah, if you want to play the newest and latest and greatest Uncharted, you got to buy a PS5. But right. it's like let's say tit for tat, they give us the Master Chief collection and we give them the Nathan Drake collection.
Right.
Like that's, to me, that's kind of a neat little thing. But I just don't know if it'll ever happen.
Yeah.
Not because Microsoft doesn't want to do it, because I don't know if Sony's willing to.
It's interesting because like there's a little blurb on Push Square also kind of about this, and Spencer was talking about Helldivers 2, and he was talking to GameFile, and he says, quote, "I will say when I look at a game like Helldivers 2, and it's a great game, kudos to the team shipping on PC and PlayStation, I'm not exactly sure who it helps in the industry by not being on Xbox." And then he says later on, if you try to twist yourself to say like somehow that benefited somebody somewhere, like, and then he also later admitted that, you know, there is a legacy in console gaming, and you know, that the owners of the console makers feel that they can benefit by shipping games and not putting them on other places. And he said, well, we do that, you know, also. That's our game. That's what we do. You know, we have exclusives. But, like, I think he's just kind of, like, bummed that Helldivers isn't on Xbox because it's so fucking rad. And he's like, I don't know. This is Arrowhead, like I don't know who this actually benefits by it not being on Xbox, which is an interesting take, and I guess it could benefit
it benefits Sony,
yeah,
right? They can, like, for example, PC gamers, for the most part, they're not going to buy a PS5. They're just not going to. So you might as well put it on PC.
Right.
But Xbox gamers, if console gamers, if somebody's going to pick up one console and they're up in the air, it might be enough to push them over the edge to buy a PlayStation just because Helldivers is on it. And that's the zeitgeist right now.
Right.
So, I understand the benefit from I don't know if it's necessarily an opportunity cost perspective, but like that kind of like, it's like a console sales thing. And to me, it's like, you got to weigh the risk reward. It's like so on one hand, you get more sales of the game if you put it on Xbox, but you may lose out on a few console sales, but probably worse than that is that you're going to take a PR hit for doing it from your fan base.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like I said, if you can weather the storm from the PR stuff, you're probably going to end up making more money just by selling the game on Xbox. Although then Xbox gets 30% of your rip too. Mm-hmm. So you're helping Xbox out as well as making some money yourself. So every copy that they sell on Xbox, they're giving Xbox like $11 or $12 of that copy.
Right.
And, maybe it's just not worth it to them. Maybe like the prognosticators in the finance department probably work out that like between the PR hit and the loss of console sales and the actually the benefit to Microsoft, I just don't know, that it's worth it. And
right.
Smarter people than me are going to have to figure that shit out. I'm sure some of it is pride on Sony's part, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely a weird thing that I've been kind of thinking about a lot lately as games start to become, as the lines start to gray between consoles and first party and what's exclusive and all this kind of shit. So yeah, it's weird.
It is really
for sure.
Weird. Yeah. So I don't know. It is what it is. I don't really have a whole lot more. There were layoffs at Embracer, lots of layoffs actually. Unannounced games were canceled. We don't need to go into detail, I guess, about any of that. But I don't know, Jake. It's kind of a light, I don't want to say it was a light week in news, but like I said, I didn't really dive through and find news points like I normally do. Try to do something different this time, see how it works, just chatting. Podcast is a ton of work to do on my spare time, so I didn't have a lot of that this week. But I don't know. Was there anything else significant that you wanted to chat about? I know Skull and Bones did release, and the general I feel like response is that like people just really aren't super interested in it, and it's not really living up to the hype.
It's got some, Fair Games energy to it. Or not Fair Games. What's that one that just came out? Foam Stars. Where it's like, or like, if you want to think back to something like, what the hell was that game? Like the car game. There was like the car combat where you could get out of your car and we got it for free.
Oh.
And we played it for, do you know what I'm talking about?
It was Wreck something, Wreck City or Wreck. Jesus, it was Wreck something for sure. Wreckfest, wasn't it? Wreckfest?
No, Destruction All Stars.
Ah, fuck. All right,
Destruction All Stars. So I
like that.
I totally lost my train of thought.
Skull and Bones. It's got that kind of energy.
Oh yeah. So I'm not sure. Like, is Skull and Bones on? Did you look and see sort of what it got critically?
No, I never checked.
Skull and Bones. Let's see here. I'm on OpenCritic. It has a 61 on OpenCritic. So that's no bueno. But that also could be, they might be being hard on the game because of essentially how it came out and how long it's been in development and how nobody wants to play it and all this shit. But like, yeah, I mean, so that doesn't really tell you everything, but at least gives you an idea of sort of how people are feeling on it.
Right.
As far as other kind of just quick news points, I saw a news point that said that as of the beginning of February, so that Alan Wake 2 sold 1.3 million copies. So that's kind of cool. Like it's apparently Remedy's fastest selling game to date, which is pretty neat.
It's a good game.
Because that game is great. So I'm really happy to see them succeed there, and I'm looking forward to more in that universe. And then I had one final. Oh, there was a Sony financial meeting or whatever, and they had made some comment. First of all, like they're expecting some sales decline or something like that. So I'm sure they're batting down the hatches with the economy and all that crap, yada yada. But I guess that they did comment that there's going to be no new entries in major franchises until at least April of 2025. So that's what Sony commented. Now, the assumption is that these are things like God of War, Spider-Man, The Last of Us, but that this might not include things like Astrobot, which, we haven't seen in a while. Or I don't think they're including something like Concord in this because it's a new game, or any number of things that we've kind of heard about. But it's kind of a bummer, assuming this includes like Uncharted and all this other shit that we've been waiting on forever. Even like Ghost of Tsushima. Like, okay, I guess that's not coming out. I mean, I guess it makes sense we haven't heard about it. But to be fair to Ghost of Tsushima, though, like, we got that in summer of 2020, right? Mm-hmm. And it is the beginning of 2024, so you could expect that it's going to be another year for that game anyway. Assuming it's on a 5-year cycle like Horizon was, for example. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about this. I'm hoping that their major, in quotes, franchises that they're referring to isn't like a blanket to include any sort of big impressive game from them, and maybe it's just referring specifically to their franchises like God of War.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you brought up Astrobot, because there was somebody had uncovered that there was a new trademark filed by PlayStation for Astrobot in Europe on August 25th. And it's just for the Astrobot name alone. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what that means, but we could be getting another Astrobot, which would be kind of cool. I think.
Dude, Astrobot VR or
Rescue Mission?
What was that? Rescue Mission. So like I never played that. Even if it was just a port of that to PSVR 2 so that I could play it, that would be fucking cool. Or like dude, a full-length freaking version of Astro's Playroom. That was like take that game, just add like 5 levels to it, make it like a 10 to 15 hour experience. That game was so cool. And it packed in with the PS5. So yeah, I would love to see more Astrobot for sure.
Yeah, Astrobot is awesome, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of stoked to keep on the old Helldivers kick I'm on right now. I haven't had many problems getting into the game, like I mentioned before. I mean, the problems do exist, but it's not been very bad. So my big issues on the PlayStation is just like the frame rate dropping. So Astrobot would be cool. Not to hop topics, but this is what I'm talking about, Helldivers. I just think about it a lot.
Yeah.
It's always kind of on my mind. Just wondering if I'll be able to get a game in or not tonight. Just a mission. Be fun. Just one mission. Just let me play one mission.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so that is fun. And I have played with LJ, and he had a friend, and his friend had a friend. So we had a nice little squad of 4 a while back. Well, must have been last week. I don't know what day we did it, but we didn't get to play at all this weekend, but we'll try to get back to it. And Jake, if you want to play Helldivers, let us know. It would be fun.
Dude, I got to learn how to fucking play it first, and I can't do that until I log into the game. So, but if I can, I'm all about it.
Yeah. Well, apologies, listeners, if this has been a lackluster podcast. I feel like we've done a good job winging things. Keeping to our promise to put one out once a week. We air every Wednesday. And if you're a Patreon of the show, you get the episode usually early. But real quick, we talk about games that come out every week. And this week is no different. We found some games that are coming out. And I'm just jotting down the cliff notes here on my notepad. February 19th, King Arthur, Knight's Tale, PS5. February 20th, Balatro, PS5, PS4. MX vs. ATV, Monster Energy Supercross, PS5, PS4. QOMP 2, PS5, PS4. Saifuku Kanojo, PS4. The Lost Legends of Redwall, the Scout Anthology on PS5. Warhammer 40K, Chaos Gate, PS5, PS4. February 22nd, we're getting 502's Arcade, PS5, PS4. We're getting Pacific Drive, which is a big one, PS5. Curious to see how that goes over with people. Yohane and Parhelion Numazu in the Mirage, PS5. February 23rd, we get Age of Wonders 4, Primal Fury on PS5, PS4. Flooded on PS5, PS4. Promenade on PS5 and PS4. And Strange Horticulture on PS5 and PS4. So those are the new games. There's some on there that always interested when I see something about Warhammer.
This Warhammer game, I'm looking at it. It looks kind of like XCOM.
Oh yeah, a lot of their games do. A lot of Warhammer games.
It's pretty interesting. It's like a turn-based tactical RPG. It looks like. I don't think it's getting any crazy amazing reviews or anything because I mean, dude, their fucking Warhammer game comes out like every other day.
They're a dime a dozen. But it's a beloved property. Yeah, so Pacific Drive is definitely the curiosity on this list for this week for me.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll keep this episode short, dude. Do you have anything you want to say to the listeners before we sign out? We're clocking in at over an hour already, so.
So, the only thing I'll say, and this is kind of a non sequitur, but like, I've been playing Immortals of Avium. And I didn't talk about it at the beginning of the episode. And I'm just about done with South Park Stick of Truth 2. Sarah's been watching me play that. Dude, have you ever played it?
No.
Dude, it's so fucking funny. Like, if you need something to just, like, put a smile on your face, it's just, like, you don't have to try. Like, it's very laid back, and it's just hilarious. Like, it's definitely worth playing.
I'll note
especially
that.
if you have Plus Extra, because it's just on there for free to play.
Nice.
Or as part of the service. But anyway. But I've been playing Immortals of Avium, and I really like it. Like, it is very reminiscent of like a PS3 era game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just kind of weird and different, but it's also like well put together and everything. And yeah, I have some problems with it. Some of the controls are a little bit sluggish and some of these other things, but it's really fun. A lot of people complain about like the Marvel dialogue or whatever.
Right.
But for me, it's like, I think the dialogue is, I'm not going to sit here and say it's Shakespeare, but like, it doesn't bother me. I think what bothers me more about it is the way that it's produced. Like the timing sometimes is off because the way that the cutscenes are produced and stuff. But if you just kind of take it at face value. Like, it's serviceable, and but I just, like, I looked it up on OpenCritic just because I was curious. Like, some of these fucking websites, like GameSpot, gave it a 5 out of 10. There's no fucking way this game is a 5 out of 10. I would say that, like, dude, if you're giving it like a 9, you're out of your mind. It's not that good. But, like, bro, this is at least a 7. Personally, my experience right now, I'd probably give it like a 7.5 or an 8, because I think it's legitimately decent. And I feel bad for the people that, because this studio basically cratered when this game didn't sell.
Right.
And I feel really bad about it because I am legitimately having fun with it. So in my spare time, when I'm not getting into Helldivers games, I'm playing Immortals of Avium, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm sure that there's going to be some sale soon where you can get this fucking game for $5 or $10.
Pick it up.
And if you're interested at all, pick it up, because I think it's a pretty cool game for what it is. So that's just my last little 2 cents that I'll throw out there before the end of the show.
Very good. Yeah. I guess I don't have any. I hope everybody enjoyed their President's Day. You know, the most important holiday in the world. Yeah, it's such a fucking goofy holiday, dude. I don't even understand it. But anyways, yeah. Nothing much. We'll be back next week with your regular show, probably. I do have 2 gigs, man. I'm playing Friday. It's going to be tough again to get notes done, but I'm playing Friday at the West Side Bowl with One Up My Land, and then, Jake, we have a gig Saturday at 11:30 a.m. at the Tap That Festival at the Riverside Brewing place. So
I hope that's not weird. It's weird playing shows that early in the day.
we'll be fine.
Yeah.
We got Shayna running sound. It'll be good.
Hell yeah.
So, anyways, we're going to be busy this weekend coming up, but thanks for tuning in to episode 316 of PS This Is Awesome. We will be back next week. Make sure you are tuned in to our YouTube channels and subscribed on your preferred streaming platform. And we'll catch you next week with more PlayStation conversation. All right, cool. You guys have a good one. Let me get to it. You Don't Know Jack, Yummy Yummy Cooking Jam, and Yakuza 5. P.S.
Yes.
This is awesome.
This is awesome.